All right, now we're going to look at FM synthesis. FM stands for frequency modulation. And the way this method of synthesis works is we take two sine waves and we combine them to create a complex waveform. It's a tricky method of synthesis to work with, to deal with, but it was first made famous back in the early 80s with the Yamaha DX7 and that whole line of synthesizers. So basically the way it works is you have a carrier sine wave which produces the fundamental pitch, the main sound source. And then you apply another sine wave to modulate that waveform. So basically think of a pretty little sine wave moving along, creating a tone, and then a modulating sine wave at a different frequency changes the shape of it to create a more complex waveform. And that's how FM, frequency modulation synthesis, works. You typically have, sorry about that. You typically have a carrier and a modulator waveform. And with the Yamaha synthesizers, they had all of these algorithms. You could combine different pairs of up to 6 operators, I think there were. So 6 waveforms that you could combine and play at the same time. And there were different algorithms for how they modulated one another. So one pair could modulate the second and so on. It's a kind of a complicated thing. But what you should get out of this is FM synthesis is 2 sine waves, one carrier and a modulator, changing the shape of that carrier waveform to create complex waveforms from simple sine waves. Okay, many familiar settings there. And then we have these 2 fields down here for carrier. We can choose different numbers here. And basically we're changing the relationship between these 2 sine waves. You can see just from this little experiment that I'm doing, FM synthesis is very good for creating kind of clangorous bell-like tones. One of the famous patches on the original Yamaha DX7 when it came out was a Fender Rhodes, an electric piano sound. Didn't sound exactly like the original instrument, the Fender Rhodes electric piano, but the Yamaha DX7 version of that electric piano sound was very popular for a while. You used to hear it on nearly every recording. People just loved that sharp, clangy sound. It's definitely a different type of sound using FM synthesis from what you'll get using subtractive synthesis. Okay, so that in a nutshell is FM synthesis. Another thing to remember about Thor is you can add multiple FM pairs if you like, and you can also mix and match different types of synthesis. Okay, the next tutorial we'll take a look at some of these others. We'll look at phase modulation, and then we'll have a quick look at the multi-oscillator. Back in a minute.